All right, hopefully this will have sound. I guess one of them didn't. I'm going to expand that. Okay, and what we're going to do today is the next assignment 6. And again, I know you need time to finish the other one, but I just want to get the lecture in there so that there's a video that you can work off of. Are there questions first? Last time we did the models, right? And then we did the view. Let's look at our views. So I'm going to view that. We did our second view where we just took all of our products types and put them up there. All right, so it's just a view that's we're doing all the products. A couple of things in real life websites, this could be a little dangerous. If you've got a billion records, you don't want to put them all out onto the web page. There is a paging thing, but with a billion records, you still don't want to page everything. So you probably would want to do a query that instead of all does a filter, you know, and just does some of them. All returns everything. We're actually going to do that kind of again. And then we'll do a kind of a filter too. Okay, so before I start the new stuff, I'm going to just make sure the old stuff is all working. So I'm going to go here. Oh, you know what I need to do before I can do that? Anybody remember? I need to start the server, and in order to start the server in this environment, I have to go back and start the environment, right? So in the, as I said, on my laptop, I put these inside the environment, and I don't seem to have to start it every time, which is probably good. So the Django projects, which is mine, is the outer folder, is where the you know, the virtual environment is. So I'm going to source VENV, I think that's what I did. Scripts, no, bin, scripts if you're on Windows. And also on Windows, the slashes go the other way. And then I'm going to do activate. The other thing with Windows, if you're doing it on your own machine, is no source. You just go to the folder and activate. Okay, so we're in the virtual environment. And then I'm going to go back to tech review. One of the things, by the end of this, you should at least be relatively good at moving back and forth between folders in the command line. All right, come on in. By the way, can you guys hear me better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me know if I fade. Because it's, and you're way back, you probably have the hardest time hearing. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I'll try. I'm not like a particularly loud person, I know, so. All right, so I'm going to run the server. This part is just to show what we've done so far, and then we're going to start the next one. So Python 3. Another thing on Windows, as you probably remember, you don't have to do Python 3. It's just Python probably on Windows. Manage Pi. Have you ever looked at Manage Pi? There's nothing in it. I've been trying to figure out. I mean, there's like 4 or 5 lines. But basically, it just says run stuff. It doesn't say what. So I think things are passed through Manage Pi. I'm going to run the server. Okay. Now, if you have errors here, you know, you have to fix them before anything else does. And I'm not going to do a lot of troubleshooting until I'm done here. I kind of want to just make this video, and then we'll come around and I'll troubleshoot. But I'm going to, when you get to quit the server with Control-C, that means things are working. I'm going to go up to here, and we'll just do a quick look around. Make sure that it's working. Come on, it's there. So it has, I don't want to go to the admin, although we might need to. Let's do another one. Did I call it tech app on here?
Without a 3.
Oh, yes. Where did the 3 come from?
Typos.
Yes. So let's try tech app. Why is it not doing that? Oh, shoot. Why do I need to restart Firefox?
Updated something before you did. Because they like you.
And then it goes to Tech 3 app, which I don't want. There it goes. I still have that stupid dummy thing in there, but I'll get rid of that.
When I just deleted that from the list.
Yeah, you can delete it. It's fine. So this says that it's under construction. This is tech reviews. This is the index. And what we did last time is we added the types, and we created a little table that shows the types in their description. It's not very exciting, but that's what we've done so far. Yeah. All right, let me look real quick. How are you going? You can do your phone. But I think we're going to do your phone. Do your phone first. Yeah. Not this one.
Yeah, it's
Restart. Why do we get to restart? Start over.
for a while they didn't even stand.
It's just one.
Yeah,
Dennis is kicking out.
pull it out of this right
Dennis
here.
is kicking out.
It's not going.
I got it better way this morning when I was afraid I was going to miss the bus, but I didn't somehow. So I got a peek.
And I'll help you. I just don't want to spend with the video going. I don't want to switch over to the. It didn't work. I guess it's just sort of watch, and I'll come help you caught up later. Sorry. I'm not sure why it would be not letting you in.
Didn't work Tuesday. They told my coworkers to not do anything dangerous.
Okay.
They're working at conference. Yeah.
So we're gonna do a new thing. It's basically where we're gonna get a thing. I'm trying to think of the word other than thing, but we're gonna look at an item and then we're gonna get the details for it. Right, and the assignment you have is basically going to be the same kind of thing where you look at a meeting and then you get the minutes for it. So one of the things that I am going to import, and I think it's from Django Shortcuts, and I'm hoping I have some IntelliSense, or I may have to go to, I think it's not giving me, it's under Shortcuts. It actually might be 404. All right. I'm going to have to go to GitHub. I wish I had IntelliSense when I need it. This is something you guys can do too when you're lost. You can always go look at the GitHub. So I'm going to do repositories. And we want, so Tech Review 2 is the one we're doing in class. I'm going to go to the full one. And what I need to know is basically in the views, the import. And what I want to import is get object or 404. That's what I want. All right. See if that comes up. Nope, still not coming. It's under shortcuts. I'm just going to copy it. All right, get object or 404. So yeah, as you can guess, what would that mean?
Doesn't get the object.
If it doesn't get, it throws a 404, which means object not found or page not found.
Mm.
So it's either going to get the object or throw a 404 error. So, and we're importing that from shortcuts. You guys okay with that? You got that? So I'm going to create a new view. And I'm going to, so we're going to get the products. And then I think we'll get the detail for them. Trying to remember exactly what I want to do. Let's call it get products. And we'll do the request again. But there's one other thing we're going to do. We're going to put an ID in there. We're going to pass in the ID. Actually, this one is just the request. The ID goes to the other one. Never mind. This one is just the request. This one is going to be pretty much just like this. And then we'll have a second one, which will take the ID. So I am going to do,
I was just
yeah.
a little confused. You got check types and type list. Type list is a command.
It's not a command.
It doesn't relate to tech types.
It's just a name for a variable.
Okay, got it.
Again, one of the things about Python that can drive you nuts, or at least drives me nuts, is that you can declare a variable anywhere at any time with no type designation whatsoever.
I mean, it's technically more of a list or an array, right?
Yeah, it is. It's in a list that's going to take all these objects.
Type is just the name of your array. You can call
Right.
it
You can call it whatever you want. Because it's a list of types, I call it type.
Just make sure it's named the same in the for loop that you use it in.
Down here, this has to be the same as this. Whatever, and then in the web page, it has to be that.
when you switch over to products or minutes.
I could call product list, which is what I'm going to do actually. And it doesn't have to have the word list in it. So I could do products if I wanted. I'll do product list because I think it's clearer what's going on. But you can name it whatever you want. And then we haven't imported it, right, from models. So let's do product from models. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to import, if you want, you can import all your models right now. But I'm going to import product because that's what we're looking at right now. And then so down here, I'm going to do product.objects.all. We're just going to get them all. Okay. And it will be exactly like the one up above. We're going to make a second one in a moment. And then I'm going to return render request. Then we give it a web page, and I'm going to call it, so tech app is going to go in that folder. Let's just call it products.html. And then we need to give it this is called the context. And there are different ways to do the context. You could define the context up here and just say context down there. But we're going to define it right here. And I'm going to just do product list. Colon product list. Now the context is what you are passing to the web page. Oops. So this product list, what we're saying here, we're passing it to the web page, and this is what it's going to be referred to, and this is the actual thing being passed. So I name everything the same. You do not have to, but I would. I mean, I think you get confused if you don't, right? So this is what it's going to, this is the words in the web page that will refer to this object, which is defined up here. Does that make sense? So if you didn't want to say product list here, you could just say products. This doesn't have to have the same name as this. But again, I think just for sanity's sake, let's keep everything named the same. This is sort of the variable that in the website is going to refer to this. All right, so this is the simple, we're going to do this part first, and then we'll come back and do the details part. So what is the next step? If you just think about, I know it's been a week.
Building another HTML page.
We will need to do that. And the order you do these doesn't really matter.
Go to URLs.
Yeah, I was going to go to URLs and do it, but it doesn't matter. They all have to be in place. What order you do them doesn't matter a whole lot. But I'll do the URLs next. So we have tech types. We're going to do exactly the same kind of thing, path. So I call this get products. And I will do a comma, views, and it sees it even though I haven't saved it, which is nice. And then I'm going to give it a name, and I think I'm just going to call it, do we want to call it, well, let's call it get products. You can name it whatever you want, but this is what's going to substitute for your URL when you do a link in the base one, right? So it's just a name that is sort of a shortcut to the URL. It keeps you from having to path things in the URLs, which is nice. Again, there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on underneath. That's basically just magic.
Do you need a backslash after get product?
Yes, you do. Good eye. Now, as I said, I'll catch you up. If you're having trouble, I'll catch you up. I just want to kind of get through this, and then I'll make sure you can get logged in, and I'll do other things. Oh, the other thing I'll mention as a side, I did actually prepare the midterm if you want to take it at any point. I think we've done everything in it so far. Couple of things about it. It's multiple choice. It's 3 times through. It's open notes. Everything has 4 choices, and you have 3 tries. The last choice is usually all of the above or none of the above. The point being that you should, if you go, you should be able to do it perfectly without too much trouble. It's mainly just to reinforce things. All right, so we've got that. So now we need to go into, you know, it doesn't matter with or without. So in a tuple, these are tuples, not that it matters much. The first one has to have a comma, and there has to be a comma between things. But if there's more than one, you don't have to have a comma at the last one. Doesn't matter. This is one comma that doesn't matter at this point. But we will have more stuff here, so. All right, so I'm going to save everything so far. So I did save all. And if you don't have errors and you've got the server, you'll be back to that, quit the server with Control-C. If you do have errors, now would probably be a good time to look for them. So real quickly, just in views, product list equals product.objectsAll, return render request, tech app products HTML, product list, and the other thing is you need to import product, right? URLs, path get products, views get products, name equals get products. So in tech app, I am going to add a new file. So I right click on tech app and I'm going to add a new file. This is in templates, right? So templates, tech app, new file. I'm going to create the HTML page. And it'll be called products HTML. It has to be named exactly the same as in the views. So if I say products HTML here, that's exactly what it has to be. And it is case sensitive, right? So here I said tech app products HTML. That's exactly what this web page has to be. Questions on that so far? I'm going to do something that you maybe shouldn't do. I'm going to go to my types HTML. I'm going to copy and go to the products HTML and paste. All right, so the dangerous things about doing this are you have to change things. And if you don't change everything, it may not work, right? So we do need the extend space HTML, right? We always need that for these because that's basically means it's going to get the base HTML and it's going to put it, we need the block content always. I'm going to put products here instead of tech types. This is just HTML for a heading. We can do a table. What have we got for products in the model? I don't remember the model. So we got product. We've got the name. Let's just do the name and the type, maybe. And then we'll do the details after that. So let's just do the name and the type. So let's go back to our HTML. So name and type. And then in here, you can do the same thing. It's just product name. And did I do those as, it would help if I had a memory longer than 3 seconds. They're all lowercase. Where am I typing there? And here I'm going to do product type. We'll see how that goes. That's what I named the foreign key, right? Yep. I think that's all I'm going to do there. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this, and then we're going to do a detail. So we'll come back to this after a bit, and we're going to put a hyperlink in here. So that when you click on it, it'll give you the details for the product. But right now, we're just going to do this. Now, the other thing I want to do is in the base HTML, I want to add, we have li dummy. I'm not sure why dummy doesn't work. But we're going to do a href equals, and we will do that curly brace, %. And I'm going to, in between these, I'm going to do URL. And we called it get product was the name, right? The other thing I need to do is I need to do double quotes around this. And was it get products or get products? The name.
It was get products.
So that needs to have the S. And I'm just going to do products here. And we need to close the A. One of the things that'll drive you nuts, it's a nice thing, but all you have to do is do the start close tag there, and it'll automatically put the A and close it for you. Closes whatever tag is open. I tend to, most of the time I type it and I find out I have 2 of them. So now the nice thing is with the name, again, all you have to do is say URL, get products, and it will resolve it all based on the view and everything else. It'll resolve where the get products is based on the URL name. So I'm going to save those. Now this is exactly what we did last time. So we're going, nothing here is different than what we did last time. I'm trying to get up to the top so I can save. And we're going to do something new in just a minute, but I want to make sure this part works. So if I go to tech reviews and if I refresh it, now we have products here. And with luck, if I click on it, oh, I don't have any products in my database. So let's go to the admin.
We definitely made them together in class.
Yeah, so why if they're not there? So I'm going to go to username. I'm just going to, I assume I'm Steve. Password. So I want a couple of products. Did I do password right? Oh, it is hot in here. So I got products. I've got products there. Why is it not seeing products? That means something's wrong with my code. So let's look and see what that would be. So it would be under the products HTML. Oh, you know why? I said type list.
Yeah, there you go.
Dangers, it's products list, product list. Right, you have to pass what you pass to it. When we went to the views, we passed product list. So in the products HTML, this has to be product list, right? It's the item in the list that we actually pass to this view. So if I save that and go back here and go back to the tech reviews, now I've got products, right? I've got the iPad, the HP, the Lenovo, laptop, tablet, and laptop. Let me make that big. Bright guys probably can't see it at all. Is that better? Need more? Did you guys this work? Yeah, I'll troubleshoot more in a bit. As I said, I wanted to make this video so it's there.
Could you put up the products HTML?
Yeah. So if I go back to the, so at the top of this, right, extends base HTML, block content. I just did products. We started table. I did name and type. This is the mistake I made, product list, right? Because that's what we're actually passing to this view. Item, product name, item, product type. And that's what displays it, the double curly braces. The item is because it's in product list. We're just looping through the product list. And we're getting that. So we're doing a for loop. You also have to have the end for and the end block. And again, the easiest way to do this, though there are some dangers, like forgetting to change type list to product list, is to copy and paste it from the other one. So I know a couple of you have issues. As I said, I just want to finish this fairly quickly, do it through, and then come troubleshoot. So if you can survive. Any big questions though before I go to the next part? Figures work. So click on products. Yeah. So you don't have any products. So if none of them, and you can add products by clicking on plus. If you don't have any products, none will show up. Okay. Are you guys surviving the heat?
It's getting a little better.
You know, but it's
We're
actually,
adjusting.
I think we're adjusting because it's actually gone up a bit.
Really?
Yeah. It's at 83. It was at 82. As I said, just imagine Hawaii. This is about Hawaii's temperature. I've never been to Hawaii. Is it humid there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a bit humid there.
I would think since it's right off the sea, but sometimes that doesn't. All right, so let's do the next thing. And it's the same kinds of things, right? What we're going to do now is we're going to create the product detail. So I'm going to go down to the views again. And we'll do the product detail view. It's really important too that your functions line up with the, indentation is everything in Python. So we need to go back to the edge there. I'm going to do def. I will call it product detail. It's going to take the request, and this one again will take the ID. Couple of things about the ID here. This is just a variable. We are actually going to get the ID from the table, but you could name it Joe, you could name it X. It doesn't matter what you call this, right? In function, it's going to be the ID, but it doesn't have to be named ID. It's just a variable. Even though there is an ID. So one of the things, it might actually be a good idea to name it something different. I don't know. But I'm going to leave it as ID. I wouldn't name it anything too verbose just because it's a pain when you have to use it elsewhere. All right, so this time I'm going to do, I'll call it detail list. You could, again, the list is just to let you know that's what I'm making. And I'm going to do product. And I'm going to use the get object. I think it's objects first. Maybe not. It was there. Yeah, get object or 404. And inside of this, I am going to say pk equals ID. I'm hoping I'm doing that right. If not, it'll fail and then we'll look it up. PK is for primary key, right? Is equal to ID. So we're basically doing a filter for the ID. We're only going to get the ID. When you click on an object, it'll show the details for that object. Does that make sense? Now, the other part is exactly the same. We're going to return render with 1R request, give it a path, tech app. What do we want to call it? We could just call it details because it's the only one I'm going to do, but it's a detail. But you could call it product details if you're going to do more, you know. And then we need the curly braces,
Use the period instead of the
comma, yeah. I will show you. If you want, you can do something like context equals curly brace product. So that should be single quoted. Actually, it's a detail list.
Single quote or double?
You know, it doesn't matter. Let's do it single though, because just to be consistent. Python really doesn't care. But a lot of languages do. Detail list. And then over here, instead of putting those down here, you could just do context. It's exactly the same thing as what we've been doing, except a different structure. The only reason that I would actually bother doing this is if you want to do more things in one. This is a side trip. You don't have to go there. I'm going to go to the, did I kill my GitHub? Tech reviews, no. So I'm going to go to a different, so repository. I'm going to do the reading one, the reading app, and I'm going to do the index. I just want to show you what you can do with the context. So I'm going to do views. So this is my index in this one. Notice it has book count equals book objects all count. It's doing a count of all of these things. This reading app is sort of my version of Goodreads, although it's not really it is. So and then it has so it has all these different counts that you can do. It has a filter here. It excludes the ones that for the books read. It excludes anywhere that finish date is golf. I create a context here. I think I do have to do context equals context with all of these things, and then I can pass that off. The advantage of doing it this way is that I can pass multiple things at once, right? I can pass off a whole list of different things to the website. It does tell me that I need to say context equals context. So just to show you a different way to do that. You could also just do this. It's perfectly fine. All right, so that's our our function, our method for view. Questions on that? Does it make sense? We're basically passing, we're getting a list. Actually, it won't be a list really, because it's only going to have one object in it. Do we want to name it something else? We're really only getting a let's just call it.
Is that because you only input one item?
Yeah, it's only going to bring one item back. We could call it list. It doesn't care what we call it. But it's only going to return the item that matches the ID.
You could just name it detail.
We could just name it detail. Yes. And we could just name it, I mean, we could name it product detail, but we'll just call it detail. Now, if I change that, I also have to change these. Because it's only going to, as I said, it's only going to return one object, the object that has the ID that we passed to it. All right, so I am going to go to the URL next. You guys okay with that, especially with me changing things? So I am going to do the URLs. We're going to add another URL. Every view has to have a URL, or you won't be able to get to it. So I'm going to do, did I just call it details? They said it would help if I had a memory that was more than a couple moments long. Product detail. So this should be product detail with a slash. It also needs something else here. It needs to tell it that we're passing a variable with it. And that the type is integer. Right. And then I'm going to do a comma and views dot get product detail. And I think I'm just going to call the name equals details. And that should have quotes. And the comma at the end is optional, but we'll have other things too. Does that make sense? So this is the path basically, but we're also passing an ID. We're passing an integer. We got views, product detail, and we got name equals whatever you want to name it. But something easy to use. Does that make sense? You guys okay with that? Okay, so let's go make a details HTML. Is that what we called it? Yep. So I'm going to go to Tech App, right-click, new file, and we'll call it details HTML. This one I'm not going to cut and paste. It's a little bit different, not a lot different, but I'm going to do, we'll have to say extends base HTML in quotes. And we need the curly brace at the percent sign. Okay. And we need the content, right? So we need percent content block. Is that right? I'm going to real quickly look at.
I think it's block content.
You were right. And then we might as well do the end block, right? Now the thing here is we don't need to loop, right? Because we're only getting one detail. So I am going to do like H2. I do H2 because the banner at the top is H1, you know, heading 1. So I am going to do curly brace, curly braces. And we called what we passed was details, right? Or was it just detail?
I think just detail.
I think it was just detail. Detail, so we'll do product name. And then I'm just going to do like a paragraph detail product type. What else do we have? The product URL. What else is in product?
Product description.
Let's do product description. And you can see the pattern. And I'm not formatting it very special. You can do whatever HTML you really wanted to. You could do it as a table, but it doesn't make sense really. Product URL, which could be empty. I don't think that'll throw any errors though. Anything else in there? Oh, detailed. Let's look at the model. So we got product entry date. We want that. Let's do the user too. So actually, those are the only two things: product entry date and user. The user is whoever posted it. So let's go back. Details. Boy, it's hot in here. All right, let's see if this works. Well, actually, it won't work yet. Let's save, though. We have one more thing to do. Any guesses what that might be?
Add a link to
That's
in products.
That's exactly right. So the next thing we need to do is to add a link to products to the details. So I'm going to do that. There's a lot of things that could go wrong here if we messed up, but so I'm going to do it on the product name for the product list. And so a hyperlink, right? So href or href equals, I'm going to do the double quotes. I'm going to do another curly brace. This one is going to have a % sign. And we want to close the curly brace with the % sign. All right. And inside of it, we're going to do, just like we did with the other links, I'm going to do URL, details, and I'm going to do ID equals ID. I'm going to close the quotes, close that. Now, the product name, so we got it closed the A for us. So I'm going to cut that. And I'm going to put it here because we want it to close after the product name. So ID equals ID. I'm just wondering if I need to quote that. I'll be right back. So actually I want to go read templates. I just want books. Get books. No quotes. But
No, you already have it in the page tag.
detail.id. So we let it auto-generate their ID, so that would be the ID of the, and detail is what we're passing, so that would be the ID of the product. So we're creating a hyperlink, right? href equals, and then we're using the shortcut that it gives us. So URL details is the name we gave it. And then we're passing the ID to the variable ID. We're saying that the ID equals the detail ID, detail being the product that we passed. And then we're going to display the product name in the link. Does that make sense? I hear nothing. Good, bad, indifferent. So it's a hyperlink to that has the name details, right? And then we're going to add, and that's what we named the web thing, the shortcut. The ID that we're passing is going to be whatever the ID of the product is. Detail, again, is what is storing our products. And then we're going to display the product name as the clickable item in the link. If all is okay, we could run this and it will work. And then I'm done, and then I could come around and help people. Questions before I try to run it?
Do you have an extra chevron on line 13 at the end? Arrow, like at the very end of that?
No, because that's the extra TD.
Oh, okay. Oh.
So
Go A and then.
right, so the link is inside of the table cell. Right, the TD is marking the edges of the, this is the cell. Inside this first cell, there will be this link with the product name. So let me try running it. First I have to save it. And we'll see if it works. So we'll go to tech reviews. Let's go just back to tech reviews, and then we'll go to products. So I didn't like.
I thought I had to put an ID in.
What do you mean an ID?
I entered it. Yeah. No ID in the database.
With keywords ID not found.
So if there's no ID, don't check to populate it.
Well, no, it should populate it.
I didn't know what to populate.
So let's look at what I did. So it's in the template. That should work. ID equals detail ID. ID is what we're passing. Let's look at the URL. Product int ID. That should work. I wonder if I need a slash after that
In
the view.
in the or the GitHub, the way you had it was int:/ID, and then it was closed after the ID. As in
Oh,
I can't remember what those things are called. The pointy bracket that you
Yeah.
have at the end of int, that is moved to behind ID.
that makes sense. So in the path, I did the path wrong. I put my so it's int ID like that in the path. the URL path. Let me save that. If it works, we'll come back and walk through what we just did again. So I'm going to save it. Let's go back to tech reviews. I'm going to refresh, although actually it sort of refreshes anyway. So I'm going to go to products. I still have an error. Still not finding the ID. Why is it not finding the ID? It worked before. Let's look at the. So book ID equals book ID. Let's look at the URL here. Because I might need the slash after it. Is that true? I don't think so. Get books. Oh, I want the URL. No, that should work. Int ID. Int PK. That's the same thing. Int ID. Int ID. Int ID. That should work. So let's look at the page again. Equals detail ID. Did I call it detail or details?
I think you just saw the detail.
Singular.
So it's in the view. It is detail. So that's correct. Let me look at the what was I going to look at? There was something I was going to look at. Context, detail. Okay. So that worked, PKID, that works there. So why is it not, oh, you know what? I know why. I understand why. I need to say what the object is. It's going to get a product, get object. And what I wonder is it product dot? I think it might be just get. One last look at this. Yeah, it's just get object. There's no product there. I misdid that one. So it's not product dot. It's just get object or 404. And then you name the product. And then you say that the PK is ID. This is the thing when you don't get to practice this before you start it. Trying to remember everything. So it's detail equals get object or 404. Product. So you're naming what object are you trying to get. and then it's PK equals ID. So the object type, and then the primary key is equal to the ID. I had a product dot get, and that doesn't work. Let's see if this works. If it does, I'll come back. We'll walk through it again, and then we'll be done. I'm going to save it. I'm going to go back to tech reviews, types, there. Still doesn't like it. Still doesn't like the ID. Why doesn't it like it? Does anybody see anything else that I've done wrong? Detail, detail, context. I don't want to spend forever at this. Product detail, name details. Oh, you know what? I think I fixed it. If I fixed it, I'll tell you how I did it. All right. Let's go back. So the fix was in product when we made the link. I was saying detail ID. There's no detail ID in product. It's item ID, because that's what we're looping through. Right? We said for any item in the product list. So when I want to find the ID of a particular product, I have to say item.id. And I said detail.id because my brain is mush. So let's walk through it all, and then we'll look at it again. And then we'll call it good, and then I'll come help.
How about the views?
What?
How about the views?
So I didn't make any changes in the view. So the view was good. So let's walk through there. So we did two views. This view is exactly like what we did last week, where we just got all of the objects of a particular type and displayed it. So we did that. We did the request. We just got all the products. So there's nothing that's changed in that view. And then when we did the products HTML, which I'll go to in a moment, we just displayed the products. Okay, this one gets the details and a couple of mistakes that I made. And they're just my mistakes. So the video is going to have my mistakes too. Is I didn't do get object or 404. I did product.get object 404, and that was wrong. It's just get the object or create a 404 error. And then you have to tell it what object you want to get. And we wanted to get a product object. That's our class in the model, right? Product. And then we said that the PK equals the ID. So we're saying that the primary key for this product is equal to the ID that's being passed in. PK, it understands what PK is. That's shortcut for primary key. It knows what that is. Again, magic underneath. How do you know that? You have to read it somewhere. There's none of this is stuff you can know, right, without having looked it up somewhere. So PK equals ID. This is just a variation of this. You don't have to do it that way, but that was just a way you can, to show another line. And then basically we did the details HTML in the context. So the only thing that I changed there was to get rid of products dot and put the product here. Does that make sense? This is a built-in shortcut that we imported, right? And this is just the syntax for this shortcut. I just did it wrong the first time. I do things wrong a lot, but that's any kind of encouragement. When I'm doing this stuff at home, I do that and I say, oh yeah, it takes me a little bit. I look back like I did now at GitHub. How did I do this before? And the thing is, by the time you get it really well down, the template will probably change. It'll be a new version. Things change. All right, so that's the view. Any questions on the view before I move on to the next part? Because I did a couple of mistakes. Some of that comes from rustiness. So the second part, we did the URL. Again, I kind of screwed this up because I put the bracket there and then just did the ID. So it's path, product details, just like before. That's the name of our view. You always do the name of the view. The one exception is index. Index, you don't have to do that because index is assumed to be your root. All right, so I did product details / int : ID in the brackets, greater than less than brackets. And what we're saying there is that we're going to pass an integer named ID. If I had named it something else, if I had named it PK or Tom, it would be int : Tom or int : PK, whatever you name it. But we're telling it that it's an integer that we're passing. If it was a string or something else, you would have to say that too, right? You'd have to say str or whatever. Does that make sense? Then this is the same as always. Our views we're giving the name of the view, and then we're giving it a shortcut name for the URL. We're just calling it details. Questions on that part? The one part I screwed up on is this, the int ID. All right, so let's go to our products HTML. So basically this worked before, right? Because we just were circulating. The thing that we added to it for the details is we added a link to the details page. Right, so we said URL details, and this is the part I screwed up. ID equals item.id. Item comes from here. This is our variable name for what we're looping through. For every item in product list, right? We process product list. We could have named this again, we could name it every I, we could name it every P, every product, whatever you want to name it. Item is just a variable name. It could be whatever. But it's the one that stands for the object as you loop through it. So this has to be this, whatever you name it, right? Because it's the variable name that's being assigned to each product as you go through it, or each item as you go through it. So I, for whatever brain fart reason, wrote detail here, which is what the detail page has. This is the product page. It doesn't know what detail is. And that's why it screwed up on the ID. So whatever the item is of the current product. Does that make sense? And that was my screw up. That's what I fixed at the very end. On the details page, just for the make the review complete, this is where detail makes sense because detail is what we're passing as the context. Right? Detail is the variable that contains the object. So because we're passing detail through the view, in the view we said that we were naming it detail in the context. We can do detail dot and we can get access to all of the object fields. Product name, product type, product description, product URL, product entry date, and even the user. And you might notice that when we say type, in the database table, that's going to be a number. But because product type has a string to string function that returns the name of the type, it will return the name of the type. And the same, I think, with user. I didn't look at it that carefully. So let's go, again, run it one more time. And then, as I said, I'll come. So notice it has the tablet. This is the iPad, has the Apple, has the date, and it has Steve. So it got the user, got everything. If I go back, let's do products again. Let's do the Lenovo. And it's a laptop, Lenovo laptop, fairly decent, middle of the road, has a good keyboard. Lenovo.com, the date that it was entered in. So it has the details for that, for every product that you enter. I don't know why that's dragging, but there it goes. So that worked now after lots of little burps and hiccups. And I would say just, and I'll put this up on GitHub, what we did. I would say that working with Django, it tends to be full of burps and hiccups, and you just sort of have to keep troubleshooting them. I'm better at it than I used to be. I can put up a site in a couple hours now, where it used to take me a long time. So, but I still make mistakes, obviously. Questions? I think that's it for the day. That gives you the next assignment. If we have snow days again next week, I may do at home a video for the testing. Right. I will try when we have actual class days to, if I can get a couple of lectures done, when we have actual class days, I'll try to give you time to work on them in class. You have a little less time than I'd hoped today. I'll come troubleshoot. And let me, real quickly though, save this and then post it, and then I will come troubleshoot and stop the video. So I'm going to, oh, that's not what I want. I want this.